It is Friday and I have no idea what to read. Well, hello. Now you'd like to walk across the screen? Hi. Let's try. I wonder if cleaning my bookshelves would help. Nope, still nothing. It is just after 6 o'clock in the evening and I still have no idea what to read. I have a few books out from the library that need to be returned soon, so I could do those, but my wrists are killing me. So it really needs to be an audiobook tonight. And I'm not in the middle of anything aside from How To by Randall Munroe, which I'm reading with my partner. It's pretty funny, but it's not the kind of book that you binge read. I am looking at a few options that I have on my Audible account and a few that I have through my library, and I chose a couple things to kind of dabble in tonight. On my Audible account, I have Black Wolves by Kate Elliott. I also have this book on my shelves, but I picked it up in audio because I really liked her Spirit Walker trilogy, and I'm interested in starting this new series with the same sort of hope from her in the depth of the world building and the characters. There's a good chance that if I start that, I might wind up getting hooked and actually wanting to read it, so I'm going to try it tonight. If not, I also have Homo Deus by Yuval Noah Harari, which is the sequel to Sapiens. I read Sapiens earlier this year, and I was told to take a break in between Sapiens and Homo Deus because Homo Deus reiterates a lot of the same ideas that are right at the very end of Sapiens and kind of expands upon them. So now that I've had a few months in between that, I feel like I'm probably ready to pick that one up. And then I remember the last audiobook that I really got into was last weekend, and that was The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, and it was narrated by Sunila Nankani, and I loved her narration. So I went onto my library and saw what else that she happened to have narrated. One of the things was The Ruin of Kings, which I listened to earlier this year, and also impressed, incredible narration in that one. So I picked up another one that she has narrated, and it's called Eru Shah and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi. And I have a Roshani Chokshi book up on my shelves, but I haven't yet read it. So I decided that I might as well start with this one, this audiobook, and see how I like her writing with a narrator that I know I will love. So between all of those options, I'm really hoping that I get hooked this evening and have at least some sort of a reading update for you tomorrow morning. So I feel a little bit like Goldilocks. Hi, you don't know who Goldilocks is? Last night I had 3 choices of books, and I decided to start with Eru Shah and the End of Time, by Roshani Chokshi because it was my library book. So I have a limited time with it, so I figured I might as well start with that one. As much as I love the narrator, I was not in the mood for a middle grade book. I just wasn't. So I got most of the way through the first chapter and decided to put it down. Then I picked up Black Wolves by Kate Elliott, and I could not stand that narrator. I gave it a good chunk too, a couple hours, because the story itself sounded really interesting. It starts off where he is a silent wolf, is what he's called, because he has infiltrated the Black Wolves in search of a traitor. So he's kind of like a spy in an elite military force, which I found really interesting. And there's demons, and I got through the first little part where he exposes the traitor in his current job, but in turn he comes up against a demon, and the demon reads his mind, so he needs to lie low a little bit. And that's where I stopped because the narrator was just getting on my nerves. Luckily, I have this book in physical copy. I just can't read it this weekend because of my wrists. So in the future, I will be picking that up in paperback form and continuing through it because it actually was very interesting. Then the third book that I picked up, and the one that I actually got a little chunk of the way through, is Homo Deus by Yuval Noah Harari, and it is just as interesting as Sapiens. I really enjoyed the beginning, which is talking about how historically humans have had to deal with certain things that have now been eliminated, like famine and disease and war, compared to past. And from there, he's projecting what he believes the future will be, what problems humans will try to eradicate, and where technology will go from there. And it's really interesting so far. I'm still in the first of 11 chapters. I've got about 13 hours left in this audiobook. It's not the sort of book that you binge read, so I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be finishing this over the weekend, but I will be continuing to read it because it has caught my interest, thank goodness. I'm just happy that I'm reading this weekend at all. And of course, while I was reading this book, he was doing this. To be fair, Derek Perkins has a very soothing voice, and late at night when I'm only listening to the book and not doing other things, I kind of find myself nodding off a little bit too. So today I am going to the library, I am going to play Dungeons & Dragons with friends, and I'm just going to have an all-around good time and finish my day off with a little bit more of Homo Deus. What do you plan on doing, baby? You plan on begging for scraps of food from everybody at the table? Don't worry, I'm not going to take your ball. I'm not in danger of taking your ball, mostly, and I can't stress this enough, because I don't want it. It's very slimy and gross. Also, it's a ball and doesn't really hold that much appeal to me. So last night, I wound up reading a little bit more of How To by Randall Munroe. It's amusing, but it's not What If. Basically, what I want in my life is What If 2. And today I read a little bit more of Homo Deus. It is almost 7 o'clock at night, so I've got a few more hours left of reading, and I'm not sure if it's going to be How To tonight, or if it's going to be Homo Deus, or if it's going to be a little bit of both. The thing about Homo Deus is there's not really all that much to say about it. One of the things that humans will eventually strive for is to lengthen lifespan / immortality, which is an interesting premise. And I especially enjoyed whenever he was talking about how all of the advancements will initially be made to solve some sort of health problem. For instance, you know, the bionic leg to help a paraplegic, but will eventually move on to being cosmetic upgrades, which basically moves humanity from being human into being superhuman at some point, is the next stage of the evolution that he's positing will occur. And I find that very interesting just because it makes me think. Basically, Homo Deus is a book that makes you think. So the rest of my evening is going to be filled with reading and watching Mark play Breath of the Wild. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I'm playing with the dog. I still don't want his ball at all. So that was my weekend. It was pretty low-key. I didn't read a whole lot. One thing that I did while I was cleaning up all my shelves, I found an old series that I totally want to reread. It was one of my favorites when I was a teenager, so I kind of want to pull that one out and reread that trilogy, but it requires wrists, so my main goal this coming week is to not hurt my wrists, let them heal a little bit, so that I will be able to hold a physical book or 3 next weekend for next weekend's reading vlog. I can't wait to tell you all about it. Until then, happy reading.